$1,000,000 costs $158 a month. That's the real number, not a fantasy salary, not an inheritance, not a lucky stock. $158. Roughly your phone bill. But that number only works if you start at one specific point in your life. Wait a few years, and it doesn't creep up, it detonates. So let me show you exactly what the number is at every age, and the moment it turns from easy into almost impossible. Let me be honest with you first, because this is where most videos lie. Nobody is handing you $1,000,000 in 5 years. This is just the math of what ordinary money does across a long stretch of time. And by the end, you'll be able to work out your own number in about 10 seconds. So let's build it from the ground up, because the reason that number is so small is genuinely strange the first time you see it. Say you start at 25 and retire at 65. 40 years. At $158 a month, do you know how much money actually leaves your pocket over those 4 decades? $75,900. That's it. That's the entire contribution. So where do the other $924,000 come from? Nobody gives them to you. You don't earn them. They're manufactured out of time. Your early dollars earning, then those earnings earning, stacking on themselves for 40 years. You are not saving $1,000,000. You're planting 76,000 and letting it grow into 1,000,000. Think of it like a tree you plant in your 20s. For the first decade, it's a stick in the ground, and you feel faintly ridiculous watering it. By year 30, it's dropping more fruit in a single season than you could carry. Nobody ever became a great gardener by planting a bigger seed. They just planted earlier. Which raises the obvious question. If time does that much of the work, what happens when you have less of it? This is the part that should genuinely alarm you. Watch the number climb. Start at 25, 40 years of runway, $158 a month. Start at 30, 35 years, $263. Start at 35, 30 years, $442 a month. Notice something? You waited 10 years, and the price of the same $1,000,000 nearly tripled. Not 10% higher, tripled. And it keeps accelerating. The next 2 numbers on this list are the ones that should genuinely scare you into starting. Start at 45 with 20 years to run, and you need $1,317 every month. Start at 55 with 10 years left, and it's $4,882 a month for 10 straight years to reach the exact same $1,000,000. Sit with the shape of that for a second, because it's the whole video. A 25-year-old buys $1,000,000 for a phone bill. A 55-year-old buys the identical $1,000,000 for a mortgage payment. Same goal, same market, same country. The only thing that changed is how much time they had left. And time, unlike money, is the one thing you cannot go out and earn more of. And here's the detail that reframes everything. Look at what the 55-year-old actually pays in. $4,882 a month for 10 years is $586,000 out of their own pocket. The 25-year-old paid $76,000, same $1,000,000 at the finish line. One of them paid nearly 8 times more for it. That's not a difference in discipline or intelligence or income. That's the price of the years you didn't use. And if that number just made you want to start tomorrow, there's something you need to know first, because there are 3 things this list hides, and one of them can quietly ruin the whole plan. So there's the answer to the title. Take the years between you and retirement, find your number on that list, and you've got your target. But the third of those 3 things quietly changes the number you just wrote down. First, That math runs on the long-run historical average of the American market, somewhere around 10% a year. That's an average across decades, not a promise. There will be years the account drops and your stomach drops with it. Run it at a more conservative 7%, and your 30-year number isn't $442 a month, it's $882. Same target, nearly double the payment. So build in margin. Second, this assumes you don't touch it, not once. Every withdrawal doesn't just remove the money you took, it removes every dollar that money would have produced for the rest of the run. Pull $5,000 out in year 8 of a 40-year plan, and you didn't lose $5,000. You lost the $120,000 it would have become by the end. Interrupting compounding is the most expensive thing you can do with it. And third, the one almost nobody mentions. $1 million in 30 years will not buy what $1 million buys today. At around 3% inflation, that future million has the purchasing power of about $412,000 in today's money. That's still life-changing. But if you want $1 million of today's buying power, you're aiming at roughly $2.5 million nominal, about $1,070 a month over 30 years. I'd rather you hear that from me now than find out at 65. So let me leave you where we started, with $158 a month. Here's what that number actually is. It's not a savings target. It's a receipt for time. Every year you hold on to the idea that you'll start once you earn more, once things settle down, once you've paid off the thing you're paying off. The price of your million quietly goes up, and it never comes back down. The 25-year-old isn't winning because they're smarter or richer. They're winning because they started, at an age when starting felt pointless. You already know your number now. Whatever the gap is between you and 65, you can see it on that list. So do one thing before you close this and let the feeling fade. Not the whole plan, just one thing. Set up an automatic transfer today for whatever amount doesn't hurt, even $20, because the amount is not what matters right now. What matters is that the clock starts today instead of next year. And next year is where almost everybody's million quietly dies. Subscribe, because the next video shows you exactly where that money should go once it leaves your account. I'll see you there.